Sergeant William Buck Anderson squinted through his scope, the bitter Belgian forest air clouding his breath. Around him, 40 exhausted American soldiers isolated and low on ammunition. They braced for what seemed like an inevitable end, unaware that one man's unconventional skill was about to redefine their battle. By the end of that day, he would fire 23 rounds, shattering the German advance and saving his company. This desperate scene unfolded on the morning of December 19, 1944, deep within the Ardennes. Just a day earlier, Easy Company had been advancing through the dense forests when the full force of the German winter offensive struck. Panzer divisions, artillery, and infantry from the 6th SS Panzer Army surged westward, destabilizing lines. In the ensuing chaos, Easy Company became separated from its battalion, finding itself by nightfall 2 miles behind German positions. 40 men with dwindling ammunition and no radio contact were encircled in a clearing, their situation appearing grim. Captain James Walsh, the company commander, convened an emergency meeting that night. Their options were stark: attempt a dangerous breakout through German-held territory with their wounded, or dig in, conserve their meager ammunition, and hope for relief. Walsh chose to hold, instructing his men to prepare for a sustained defense. Among them was Sergeant Anderson, a 31-year-old from Livingston, Montana, who had brought his personal 1903 Springfield rifle, equipped with a universal scope from training. It was a bolt-action rifle holding 5 rounds, contrasting sharply with the standard semi-automatic M1 Garands issued to every other soldier. Captain Walsh had repeatedly told Anderson to carry standard equipment, but Anderson, a lifelong elk hunter, had kept his favored rifle close. For 15 years, he had stalked elk in the Absaroka Range, honing his precision at ranges exceeding 500 yards, mastering wind compensation and elevation adjustments. These were skills he believed transcended the hunting grounds. At dawn on December 19th, some 300 German soldiers, 2 companies strong, established positions in a semicircle around Easy Company's clearing, awaiting orders. They settled at about 400 yards, a distance ideal for their mortars and machine guns, yet crucially too far for the American standard rifles to return effective fire. The German strategy quickly became clear. At 7 a.m., they launched probing attacks, sending squad-sized elements forward. Walsh ordered his men to hold fire, conserving ammunition until the enemy was within 200 yards. The Germans advanced to 250 yards, stopped, and then withdrew. They had identified American positions without taking any casualties. This was a smart, methodical approach. Half an hour later, German mortars unleashed a barrage, shells raining down around the clearing, wounding several American soldiers. Under the protective cover of the shelling, the Germans advanced again, this time reaching 300 yards. Walsh's men returned fire with their Garands and BARs, inflicting some casualties. But the Germans pushed on to 250 yards before once more withdrawing. The pattern was a slow, inevitable squeeze. Probe, inflict damage, withdraw, regroup, and repeat. This was grinding down the American defenders through attrition. From his position behind a fallen tree on the north edge of the clearing, Anderson observed the unfolding predicament. He hadn't fired a shot yet. His Springfield carried 25 rounds in total, and everyone needed to count. At 8:15 a.m., he approached Captain Walsh with a radical idea. He proposed using his rifle to pick off Germans at extreme range, not just to inflict casualties, but to create psychological pressure. Walsh was skeptical, fearing it would waste precious ammunition and reveal Anderson's position. But Anderson countered that the Germans already knew their positions. What they didn't know was that someone could hit them at 400 yards. Reluctantly, Walsh agreed to the plan, giving him until noon. Anderson settled back into his prone position. The Springfield rested on the fallen tree. His eye was pressed firmly to the unconventional scope. Its 8-power magnification brought the distant German lines into sharp focus. Soldiers moved between trees, setting up machine gun nests, conferring with officers, all believing themselves to be safely beyond American rifle range. At 8:23 a.m., Anderson found his first target, a German officer 380 yards away. He was standing and directing troops. He watched for 30 seconds, calculating the wind, adjusting his aim slightly above the officer's head. He controlled his breathing, then squeezed the trigger, a custom 3-pound pull he had refined himself. The rifle kicked. The crack of the shot echoed through the woods. The officer fell and his soldiers scattered, shouting in confusion. No one expected accurate rifle fire from such a distance. 18 minutes later, at 8:41 a.m., Anderson found his second target, a German soldier. He was running between positions 410 yards out in the open. He led the movement, fired, and the soldier went down. 2 shots, 2 kills. The Germans began to realize they were not safe. By 9:30 a.m., Anderson had fired 8 rounds, achieving 6 definite kills, with 2 misses attributed to challenging wind conditions on the day. The German advance stalled, bringing their forward movement to an abrupt halt. They were pinned, afraid to move, knowing that exposure meant a swift, unseen bullet. Captain Walsh, observing through binoculars, called Anderson over, asking if he could maintain this incredible rate. Anderson, calm, stated he had 17 rounds left. If the Germans remained at 400 yards, he could account for 17 more. Walsh gave him the unequivocal order to continue. The Germans, though initially stunned, began to adapt, moving only under heavy cover or artillery smoke. Yet they still had to move, and each time Anderson was there. His 7th kill came at 10:15 a.m., a soldier flanking through dense brush at 425 yards. His 8th, an officer, was brought down at 10:47 a.m., attempting to organize an attack from behind tree cover. By 11 a.m., Anderson had fired 14 rounds, tallying 10 kills and 4 misses. The German offensive movement had ceased entirely. They were dug in defensively. The siege had, against all odds, completely reversed direction. The Germans were now trapped, afraid to advance, afraid to retreat. Anderson's single rifle controlled 400 yards of forest. Walsh asked him how he managed such impossible shots. Anderson simply explained his years of elk hunting in Montana, shooting uphill through wind, calculating elevation, leading moving targets, and above all, patience. These same principles, he explained, applied to Germans at 400 yards, who were heavier and moved more predictably than elk. At 11:30 a.m., German frustration visibly mounted among their ranks. Their artillery increased, shelling American positions in an attempt to silence the elusive sniper. Anderson calmly relocated 50 yards west, found new cover, and resumed his vigil. At 12:03 p.m., he killed his 11th target, a German setting up a mortar position. This impressive shot was taken at an extreme 440 yards. A German patrol of 6 soldiers was dispatched to locate Anderson. They advanced cautiously through the undergrowth, reaching 380 yards before Anderson shot the lead. As the patrol scattered, he quickly brought down a second soldier. The remaining Germans withdrew by 1:20 p.m. as Anderson observed a German flanking movement. To the south, he quickly eliminated the non-commissioned officer, leading it at 405 yards. This decisive shot effectively halted the German flanking maneuver completely. By 2 p.m., he had fired 20 rounds, achieving 16 kills. The psychological effect on the Germans was absolute. They maintained their positions but made no further attacks. Absolutely no one wanted to be his 17th target. Walsh rallied his men, sensing a shift as the Germans had not attacked in 2 hours. A relief column, he hoped, might reach them by nightfall. Anderson's precise shooting had bought them crucial time. At 2:30 p.m., German officers attempted a final rally, standing to point towards American positions. Anderson was waiting. He shot the first officer at 415 yards, then the second 30 seconds later. Both fell and the German attack collapsed before it could even begin. At 3 p.m., the Germans attempted one last desperate push. preceded by an artillery preparation and advancing infantry. Walsh's men engaged with everything they had, while Anderson methodically targeted German leaders. He shot an NCO at 390 yards, another at 410, and a third organizing troops behind cover at 435 yards. With 21 kills and only 4 rounds remaining, the German attack completely stalled at 300 yards. They withdrew, and Anderson, for his longest shot of the day, dropped one more at 445 yards during their retreat. At 4:30 p.m., the distant rumble of American artillery signaled approaching relief. The Germans heard it too and began a full withdrawal before reinforcements arrived. Anderson claimed his 23rd kill. A German officer directing the retreat at 425 yards. By 5 p.m., the lead elements of the American relief column reached Easy Company. The siege was broken as 40 Americans had held off 300 Germans for 9 harrowing hours, a victory almost entirely due to the precision of one man's rifle. Captain Walsh debriefed the relief commander, explaining the extraordinary events and showing him Anderson's position littered with 23 spent casings. Captain Walsh later estimated Anderson had achieved 18 definite kills. When asked how he achieved such feats, Anderson again explained his Montana elk hunting experience. 15 years of practice, reading the wind, calculating elevation, and patient shooting. He declined a transfer to a sniper unit, preferring to stay with Easy Company. He continued to serve in the Ardennes through January, participating in 6 more engagements. His tally reached 31 confirmed kills, all at ranges exceeding 350 yards. In February 1945, Division Headquarters ordered Anderson to teach at Scout Sniper School, sharing his long-range techniques. By May 1945, his students, many of whom had never hunted, killed 147 German soldiers, demonstrating the power of long-range precision and psychological dominance. William Buck Anderson survived the war, receiving the Silver Star for the December 19th engagement. Though the citation mentioned only exceptional marksmanship under siege conditions, not his unique hunting background. He returned to Montana in November 1945, taking over his father's hunting guide service, a demanding profession he would continue for 3 decades. His Springfield rifle, with its inertial scope, hung over his fireplace. This served as a quiet testament to a singular day. When asked about it, he would simply say he'd used it during the war. In 1977, a military historian researching small unit actions during the Battle of the Bulge uncovered Easy Company's after-action reports detailing Anderson's astonishing sniper work. The historian tracked down Anderson, then 64, and still guiding hunters. Anderson confirmed the details, downplaying his role, insisting any skilled elk hunter could have made those same shots. He drew parallels between a 500-yard shot at an elk and a 400-yard shot at a German officer, finding the latter an easier if heavier target to hit. When asked what he had been thinking during those 6 intense hours, Anderson recalled a bull elk he had shot in 1938 at 520 yards, uphill, in a 10-mile wind, using the same calculations and demonstrating the same patience. William Buck Anderson passed away in 1995 at the age of 82. His obituary mentioned his hunting and military service, but not the 23 Germans or the specific skills that saved 40 American soldiers. His family later donated the Springfield and its scope to the Montana Historical Society, where it now quietly resides in a simple display case. Most visitors pass by, unaware of the profound story it holds. Yet in U.S. Army sniper training, Anderson's engagement in the Ardennes is still studied, an enduring example of how long-range precision can create psychological dominance, and how one accurate rifleman at 400 yards can indeed control an entire battlefield. It stands as a profound reminder that sometimes the most critical military skills are not learned in basic training but forged in mountains tracking game. and ultimately making those 500-yard shots in the wind.